Yes. How are we doing, guys? Hope you're really good. Welcome to show 354, something mental like that. So today we're going to talk about understanding just the natural fear that comes with change. I think obviously many guys are wanting to change and be better. I think fear is a massive blocker for that. So we're going to just discuss that, maybe open some brainwaves about it. Let's crack on. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I am your host, James Ballman, and if you are coming through, do me a favour, please hit the love heart button about 5 or 6 times to let me know that you're watching through, even if you're only watching it for a little bit. Then what I want you to do in the comments is be honest and be open and talk about what your biggest fears are. Maybe just your biggest fear. So what is the number one fear that you go through, right? So how are we doing? I feel like the voice is slowly coming back. Still very painful. So I'm going to take you all the way back to 2002. 2002. That's 20 years ago this happened. I cannot believe it. So in 2002, I was in Exeter, and I was there with my former wife, who was just my girlfriend at the time, and obviously there were no kids on the scene at this stage of my life. And I was working as a store manager for McDonald's, okay? And I had pretty much gone through school. I wasn't very good at school. I didn't get any GCSEs. I redid my English a couple of years after school. Didn't really have anything going on at college. Travelled for 3 months, come back, did a catering management course for 2 years, and then managed to get onto a fast track management scheme with McDonald's. And at the time, it was my best option. And actually, it was a pretty good job, like, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? There was an awful lot of commitment from them in terms of building us up. And, you know, I thought maybe it could turn into something. And it would have, no doubt. And the job was a great opportunity, but it just wasn't what I was built for. I wasn't built to manage McDonald's restaurants. I always felt or knew that there was something much bigger, right? And then I watched a film called Black Hawk Down. And I watched the film at the cinema. And just before the film, there was this advertisement for the Royal Marines. And it's where this kid's running along with the rifles, going through the woods, and he goes through the tunnel, and he gets his leg snagged on a stone in the tunnel. I mean, he comes out, and bootneck, the Royal Marine, picks him up and says, "Compose yourself, off you go, good lad." That little bit at the end where he said, compose yourself, off you go, good lad, instantly made me want to join the Royal Marines. And I think I found my calling by watching that advert, then watching that film. And in 2002, I took some action. And I remember thinking about it over and over and again in my head, because what it meant was a complete and utter change of lifestyle. Like, what I was talking about was changing my stable way of life. And I was very young. I was 22. But I had a 2-bedroom house, or flat, should I say, with my partner, the kid's mum at the time. I had a life. We had a process. We went out at the weekends. And it was really, really interesting to break free through that. And obviously, because I was thinking about it so much, there was fear of approaching it with my former partner. There was fear about uprooting my lifestyle. There's fear about leaving the job that I had. There was fear about, was I good enough to join the Marines? And in 2002, I walked into the careers office in Exeter when we were on holiday down there one time to see my mum. And I walked in there and I had a conversation with the Sergeant Major about it. Now, that was a really big thing for me, and I felt tons and tons of fear going in there, because I was almost turning this from a thing that was just intent and a want and an ambition and a dream to actually becoming something that could be real. And at the time, I don't believe that Kate, who is the kids' mum's, genuinely believed that I was going to do this. But I was in there and I spoke to the Sergeant Major that was in there. He showed me a video and I come out and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And there was an awful lot of fear that followed that as well, because I had to sit down with Kate and at the time say, this is going to change the way that we live our lives completely. This is going to be the thing that completely changes me, changes everything. And that was that. I went to my local Army Careers office in Brighton, and I went in and I said, I want to become a Royal Marine. I need to start the process. So I started the process, and my life became about training to be a Royal Marine. And I remember leaving the station. I remember crying. I remember having my huge Bergen. I remember being my shirt and tie. And that was such a pinnacle moment, because when I got on that train, I was leaving that life behind. There's no two ways about it. My life would never be the same again joining the Royal Marines. And I was only 23 years old, and I felt completely lost at 23. And I felt like I was going somewhere where I belonged. I felt like I was going into something that was going to give me direction. I felt like I didn't really know what was coming. And all of those things brought up lots and lots of fear, right? So on the journey, I overthought it all. When I joined up, I got there. There was monumental amounts of fear in terms of, like, God, I feel like a shock and capture. And then my life continued, right? And that was the first major change in my life, I would say. The first major change and shift in my life. You know, the next one was leaving the military. And then the next one was becoming an entrepreneur. So when I look at three major, and there are changes throughout that, right? There's kids coming in, there's houses, there's taking on mortgages, whatever. But I mean in terms of like monumental change in the way that we live and the way that I acted, the way that, you know, the direction that I was going in. These things are overwhelming when it comes to fear and building anxiety. These things completely and utterly consume us, and they completely take over our lives. But you know that a large amount of people will never follow through on a dream or an aspiration or something that they want to do because they're too afraid of the consequences. I honestly dread to think what my life would have been like if I hadn't joined the military. And I know deep down I would have been deeply unhappy and deeply unfulfilled. And I can't tell you how I know that. I just do know that, because as a 23-year-old, what I do remember is feeling lost at such a young age, feeling like this wasn't the job for me. You know, and if we then went on to have kids and I was in that job, it would have been very hard to leave that job and go and join the military with kids on the scene. So I'm forever grateful of taking that plunge. And some of the things is that sometimes I think you just got to trust your gut. You know, sometimes your head's telling you one thing, sometimes your gut's telling you another. And I was just like, my gut was just saying, go, do it. And even though there was massive resistance of going into the careers office, something was driving me in there, right? It's that gut feeling. And sometimes we might have that in everyday scenario with our jobs. Maybe we know that we're unhappy in a job, right? Maybe we know that we need to change that job. It might be a relationship, it might be a friendship, it might be a routine, it might be the excuses that you feel yourself, it might be the self-doubt that you constantly go through. But there's no two ways about it. Change is most likely needed if you follow me. Like, if you follow me, you're following me for a reason, and one of those reasons is that you're looking for something. You're looking for some type of fulfillment. You're looking for some type of change. You're looking for some type of identity. And it becomes exhausting, right? And then we end up getting to the deathbed scenario thinking that I often talk about, and we're sitting there and we're thinking, why didn't I do that? Why shouldn't I have done? Like, no regrets, guys. Like, you know, if you need to make some changes, you've really got to commit to them. Like, that military, I wouldn't be sat here if I didn't join that military. I'd be on the screen on the other side with you watching somebody else that does this. You know, because I never would have fulfilled my dreams. I would be probably unhappy in that job that I was in. I probably would never have really achieved much in my life, because I'm not sure I would have been driven to do it unless I joined the military. I didn't know how to. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know where to find that fulfillment at the time. The only way that I knew to find that fulfillment is by running away and joining the military, you know. And that would have been my fear, is that I would have built up this mentality there where I personally felt I would have been unfulfilled in life. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you, because, you know, there's a lot of good to come out of breaking through. There's a lot of good to overcoming fear. This fear is this huge wall, right? And on the other side is huge opportunity. There is uncertainty for sure, but there's an opportunity, and we've got to be optimistic about what's on the other side. You know, if it doesn't work out, then at least you had a go. At least you tried. Well, as one of my good friends says, rather a life of oh wells than what ifs. Okay? Have a great day, guys. By the way, if you don't already train with us, we are running an Elite 28 Black Deal Friday, where you get to spend a bonus 5 weeks with us and you get £100 off your program. Details are in a link somewhere here. Go and check out the details on the post. Take it easy.